What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So, yes, I did get my official Lakers championship shirt. Finally came in the mail, so you don't have to get it for me for this Christmas. So, yes, still very excited about it. Hopefully, heard some more positive news just because recently they have been in talks or maybe are looking to add a certain player like a Derrick Rose from Detroit. I mentioned in my other videos that I want them to make a trade with Detroit, but it's to get Luke Kennard. But if you can somehow get D Rose and Kennard in a trade, I mean, I'd be ecstatic as well. So hopefully that does happen. You never know, but should be very interesting coming up after the draft and free agency as well. It's coming up soon for the NBA. And then when it comes to the Chargers, they had Tyrod Taylor officially is coming back from his punctured lung that his own medical staff did. He will be a backup. So hopefully he doesn't have to play, just because I don't want to see that lung get punctured again. But I think it is dicey that he's still going to try to go out there if he needs to be in an emergency. But we'll see how he does. Hopefully nothing bad happens to him. And then yes, the Chargers have like a pretty bad news when it comes to Austin Ekeler, their starting running back that they signed this last offseason. With his hamstring injury, Anthony Lynn this week recently said that it would be a lot later than sooner he would return, which was the main quote, which kind of got indication because the IR is weird this year. Everyone thinks you're just going to be on there for 3 to 4 weeks, but they had initially said it was going to be about 4 to 6 weeks maybe he'll miss. So it's not really too much crazy news, but hopefully it isn't past the original 6 weeks that they projected the longest for him to be out, because that would really hurt the Chargers run offense going into later in the year. So let's hope that doesn't happen. And then LSU kind of put some self-imposed sanctions, like removing a couple scholarships and some money as well, because apparently like ex-players like Odell Beckham Jr. and some other type of boosters were giving money to kids while they were there. So I mean, it's kind of ridiculous if the NCAA doesn't really hit them hard and take away more scholarships and ban them from postseason play as well, just because, I mean, the same thing happened recently to Penn State and they kind of got a slap on the wrist, but when it happened to USC the very first time, they had 5 years of reduced scholarships and a lot of shizzle taken away from them, which was horrible. And it took USC quite a bit to build its program back up, and yeah, it's on the right path right now, but it took about 10 years or so to do that, which is ridiculous. So yeah, if they don't do anything to LSU, I'll be pretty pissed off about it. Then Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert are finally gonna play their first game against each other. I believe it's like a week 10 matchup, but I don't ever think we saw these guys play in college, and they were the number 5, number 6 picks, so pretty sure no matter which team picked who, they would have gone to either of those teams. So yeah, should be very interesting. I know Tua is finally going to be the starter in Miami, so hopefully Justin Herbert, because he has a few more games under his belt, could win that game, but you just never know. So we'll definitely be looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll be able to get the W. And then miscellaneous news real quick before I get into players that the Lakers should draft with their first round pick. I want to get this off real quick. So Mark Hoppus, the bassist of Blink-182, recently said in an interview that the main riff or guitar riff to one of their infamous songs, What's My Age Again, actually came from him trying to play a bass riff on a Green Day song called Jar, which came I believe in the Insomniac era when that CD came out in the 90s. And he said he tried to play it, but he played it wrong, and it actually was sounded cool to him. So they kind of based that one of their top songs off of that riff that he messed up, and became, like I said, one of their popular songs. It's still one of my favorite songs, especially the guitarmanship in there from Tom DeLonge as well. So yeah, it's pretty crazy how two of the bands I've liked since I was very little, of course, they still have to be connected, which is really awesome. And yes, I'm a convert this real quick and come right back with who the Lakers should select in the first round coming up. So when it comes to the Lakers, 28th pick overall in the first round, I think they need to go after a guy who's been in school for a while, so he's a bit more polished, able to contribute right away instead of like a young player you have to wait a couple years, unless they're very talented, which I doubt you'd get them this late, or even a European player or player from out of the country where you have to wait a couple years as well for even them to get to the US until they're ready to play. So yes, these are a lot of guys that have been around college a bit who are definitely positions that I think the Lakers can use, especially if they do somehow keep this pick and try to go and get another championship. But some of my favorite players, well, just because more I hated some of these guys, but that's just because they were good in college. But Cassius Winston from Michigan State, he knocked out Duke when Duke had Zion Williamson in the Elite Eight, which sucked, but I just knew he's a very talented player and he could be like a Kyle Lowry type of player, just be able to be a nice point guard coming off your bench and keep everything going, especially if they end up losing Rajon Rondo. Another guy I really like from Duke is Trey Jones, the point guard. To me, he's more of a point guard, shooting guard, because especially in high school, he was a way better scorer / shooter, but just at Duke, he wanted to become more of a point guard, passing point guard, making the correct play. So kind of understand his shot kind of going away, but he is still a very good playmaker, did very well playing alongside Zion Williamson and running the team by himself the following year. So definitely would look to hopefully see him in a Lakers uniform. And then Udoka Azubuike from Kansas, he's a power forward / center, but he's one of the best blockers out there. His block stats are insane in college, and yeah, he still has an offensive game as well. And I'm pretty sure if money talks this offseason for a lot of the Lakers bigs, some of them might go, and he might need a younger guy there to back up Anthony Davis. So he's a very nice pick as well. Just some other guys like Robert Woodyard. He's a pretty athletic guy from Texas A&M who I like, so he'd be good to pair up with LeBron and AD. Cassius Winston, another Duke shooting guard, but even though he was 1 year there, he is a bit older. He's already like 20, 21. So his body is more mature, obviously his mind as well. So, and he showed what he can do playing alongside a lot of good guys. So I definitely like him as well later in the draft. Guys like Marcus Howard from Marquette, I've seen him score a couple 40, 50 point games in college. So having a guy who could give you offense and still produce assists as well is great. Peyton Pritchard, a point guard from Oregon, 4-year guy. Every year he got better. He's a pest because he's very good on offense and especially distributing to his guys. So I like him a lot as well. Miles Powell, shooting guard, point guard-ish from Seton Hall. Every single time, I never really watched Seton Hall, but when I had no choice to watch him, he was great. And I think he's one of like the top scoring people, whether it's Seton Hall or the Big East or something like that. So yeah, he's pretty talented if you could be the high scoring guy in that conference. And Jordan Nwora from Louisville, he's a pretty tall guy, around 6'8", 6'9". You can see him as like a Kyle Kuzma replacement-ish because he's even better at the three-point shot and still has kind of the same athleticism and everything and size. So be a pretty nice pickup as well. Yeah, sorry for the jump. I'm trying to remember players, but I believe the last player I need to talk about is Sam Merrill from Utah State. Just a guy that never gave up. He's like a point guard / shooting guard. He's good on offense and he's pretty feisty on defense as well. Did play in a smaller conference, but he did produce points and assists and everything else as well. So that's why I liked him whenever I got a chance to see him. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anybody, but if I do, once I convert this video, I'll finish it off with that. But if I don't, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Right on.